Bad news for your local postie. Their job is being phased out. A sign of the times or a sign of mismanagement? Coast Mountain Bus Company goes all Scroogey and won't let this driver wear his Santa suit. And what's this, a fake interpreter for the deaf as the world watches Nelson Mandela's memorial? This is Unfiltered. Is anybody really surprised Canada Post waited until the House of Commons Christmas break to announce major changes? Or surprised that letter delivery to your door is being phased out? It's not like we haven't seen signs of this, especially in the face of millions of dollars in losses and the ever-increasing popularity of communicating through the internet. But there are still some very valid questions that need to be asked and answered. And joining us tonight in studio, Ken Mooney, who is with the Canadian Union of Postal Workers, and on the phone from Ottawa, John Hamilton, who is a spokesperson with Canada Post. I want to thank you both for being here.
Thanks.
Thanks, Joe.
Ken, a shock for employees this morning. Was this really a surprise, or is it just simply jarring to know that your job is disappearing?
Like every other postal worker in Canada, I awoke to learn that Canada Post had plans to eliminate our jobs. It hadn't been previously disclosed to any of the major unions that work for Canada Post. Those unions represent the employees of Canada Post. It was more than a distraction, and I think you hit the nail on the head when you stated that. Is it a surprise that this action plan was unveiled the day after Parliament adjourns? And of course not. Obviously this wasn't inadvertent. There was no prior discussion with the National Union. There was no disclosure, no public debate, and certainly no opportunity for this matter to be raised in Parliament. And there's a consensus right now that this action plan and the timing of its release was intended to serve as a canary to see if these changes can be politically sustainable.
John, no consultation with any of the unions? Why not?
We have consultation on a wide range of items. On this item, nothing is coming into effect until the new year, and we'll have plenty of discussions. But we had 46 meetings across the country over the summer to talk to Canadians of all stripes. You had students and seniors and businesses to understand their future postal needs. The decline of letter mail is a reality. In 2012, we delivered 1 billion fewer pieces of mail than we did in 2006.
And nobody is debating that. I think everybody understands that. The question is, 3 weeks away from Christmas or 2 weeks away from Christmas, all of these people are learning their jobs will at one day be gone. Why not at least let the unions know the day before the major announcement goes out?
Well, I think the time is not on our side. We've been out talking with Canadians all summer. We've been putting plans together, and nobody's job is going to be changed in the next little while. We have, there's discussions that will continue, but nobody's losing a job through this process. So I want to be clear on that. Our people have job security. What's going to happen with 15,000 people set to retire over the next 5 years? This corporation needs to be leaner, and we won't replace all those positions as we go. So nobody's losing their job. They may be doing different work down the road, but they still have a job. And what Canadians have told us is they're looking to use the mail system differently than they have in the past. They're looking to order more stuff online. They're still looking to do some stuff through the mail, but not receive bills and pay bills and the types of things that made a national network of letter carriers necessary. So there's still a good future for Canada Post. There's still service that Canadians are looking for, and a lot of employees, we've had, it's a change, but a lot of employees said, you know what, there's a plan for our future today, and it's a plan based on what we're good at, and it's based on delivering to Canadians. So. Yeah, it's going to make some changes, but we have to face reality and we have to get on with it.
Is that comforting, Ken?
No, it's not comforting at all, and I don't think it's any sort of an answer. When you're talking about wholesale changes to the service that's been provided to the Canadian public for decades, you have more than an obligation to properly disclose that to the public for public input and to the respective government bodies. I think this is something that should have been discussed in Parliament. I don't think it was an accident that this wasn't disclosed until after Parliament closed down. I don't think it's a surprise that postal workers woke up this morning to find out that these changes are in store. This was designed to stop the debate from taking place. The post office was built on taxpayer dollars. It doesn't rely on them anymore. But Canada Post is accountable to the public. This is not a decision that lies strictly in the hands of the Canada Post Star Chamber. Canadian public. Because this institution is owned by the Canadian public. It was built by Canadian tax dollars, and there's an obligation when you're going to change a universal public postal service to have some discussion before announcing your implementation of these cutbacks.
It's clear, though, with Sorry, go ahead, John.
Sure. I think the government lays out their expectations for the services that are provided in the mandate of Canada Post and something called the Canadian Postal Service Charter. Most Canadians probably aren't familiar with that, but it sets out the expectations for the services that we'll provide, the number of days of the week that we'll deliver, and all of the changes that we've put forward require no changes to that service charter. Expectations have been set. This plan meets those expectations. So, we're going to be out on a number of fronts. The stamp prices have to follow a regulatory process, so they won't take effect until the end of March, and there's an opportunity for people to comment at that point. As we roll forward and convert the 1/3 of Canadians that still get door-to-door delivery to community mailbox, we'll be out talking to Canadians at that point, and we'll have lots of discussion with our unions at this time. But if we heard one thing loud and clear from Canadians, it's we get that your business is in trouble. You certainly get that your business is in trouble. You need to move faster to catch up with us, because the last thing we want you to do is delay and end up being a drain on us as taxpayers.
Well, I don't know who Canada Post was talking to. Apparently it was invitation only, but Canada Post had generated $500 million in profits in the last 5 years. That's hardly a broken business model. That's not to say there's not challenges ahead, but Canada Post has done very well, and it just needs to be capable of adapting to challenges. And I think what they've done by unveiling this action plan has gone too far to one side. They've gone to the extreme. They want to cut a service that Canadians have enjoyed for years. And let's keep in mind the public polls have said they don't want to see changes to Canada Post. They don't want to see service cuts, and they want to see Canada Post move forward with expanded and enhanced services to establish its ongoing viability in the future.
We did a poll on our global webpage, and I will guarantee you this is not a scientific poll. I want to make that very clear. Our question was, what do you think of the move by Canada Post? 55% said, I'm upset. I love door-to-door mail. 27% said, doesn't matter. I already have a community box. 10% are indifferent. They use paperless billing. 8% answered other. But other surveys have shown that there isn't that big a divide, and that not that many Canadians still get door-to-door delivery. What is so intrinsic or about door-to-door delivery that we need to hang on to that?
Well, I think people have been accustomed to it. It's a service that they've been provided, which meets with their approval. And keep in mind that this service has been provided for decades. What Canada Post is moving away from is a service that provided something that the elderly could rely on, and that the disabled could rely on, the people who aren't immobile. You got door-to-door delivery regardless of where you lived, as long as you were in an urban centre. And I know there's been some change in terms of the rural areas where they don't have that.
Well, but if you live in an apartment or a condo, you know, it's down at the front door. I mean, I'm one of those Canadians who gets my mail out of a community mailbox. And I have to say, at first I was like, oh gosh, it hasn't made a massive difference in my life.
But you're probably aware that these CMBs are also crime magnets, and in British Columbia during the last 5 years, there's been just short of 5,000 incidents of mail tampering, theft, or vandalism. These aren't a very good substitute for door-to-door delivery, and it really raises...
It happens in apartment buildings as well, and they can easily walk up to your front door and take the mail out of the box that sits on your front.
I think it's less likely for that to occur. And frankly, there's been 2 incidents in the last week where letter carriers were attacked or assaulted by people so that the keys could be obtained. This is because you can then access the box.
Delivery.
I'm sorry if I'm interrupting, Mr. Hamilton.
For years, and Canadians are looking, and Canadians are very practical, and they're saying, I lead busy lives, and you provide a service, and as long as your service makes my life a little bit easier, then you've got a future.
What about some of the other options, though, Mr. Hamilton? What about postal banking?
You know, we've looked at that in the past. We've got a $1 billion a year problem that we need to fix, and When you look at banking in Canada, there are many options for Canadians to go to. If there is an opportunity, it is small, and it's not within our core business. That's a whole different business for Canada Post. So we're saying our growth, the path to our growth, has been lit by Canadians who are saying, I'm going to buy a lot of stuff online. On Monday of this week, we delivered 1.2 million parcels to Canadians. A lot of hard work by a lot of great people at Canada Post to do that. That would have been unthinkable just a few years ago. But that shows that people are going on and they're doing shopping. And that's where a locked box near your house makes a lot more sense than an unlocked box stuck on your house.
Well, I've never heard anyone say they wanted to have a CMB. No one I ever knew said that, and all we hear we hear complaints about that. That people who have door-to-door service don't want to go that way. People who have CMB, in general, don't like it, mostly because of the disruptions that occur because of the crime. Now, in terms of other alternatives, the Canadian Centre of Policy Alternatives recently issued a paper on the viability
in favor of the postal banking.
Absolutely, it was a fairly well thought out paper, and it relied on some of the experiences of other postal regimes throughout the international scene.
United Kingdom, France, Italy, Switzerland, and New Zealand.
Swiss, New Zealand, France, and frankly, the revenues generated from the postal banking component of those operations now represents, if not a majority of the revenue, a significant portion of the revenue that's generated. Now, if Canada Post can't learn from other postal regimes, maybe we need a coaching change. But this is something that should be looked at.
New Zealand, that was the poster boy for postal banking, just announced a huge rounds of layoffs. So every postal administration around the world is going through the same challenges that we're faced with. In Canada, it's a bit different because we have 15.3 million addresses spread across a very large piece of geography. So we're committed to continuing to serve each and every Canadian. We're going to do that 5 days a week, and we're going to continue that, and we're going to continue to evolve to meet the changing needs of Canadians. We'd love to be able to do all the things that we've done over the last 30 to 40 years and not have to change anything. I think anybody would say, if you don't have to change anything, great. But not changing is a path to becoming a burden on taxpayers.
So are you saying that, John, are you saying that the future then for Canada Post is in shipping parcels?
That is, you're going to see a transition. It's happening, but it's happening quickly, where the focus is going to be more on parcels and less on mail. There's still a future for mail. People say, I don't want to line up at a government office to get my ID, but if I can go online, order it, and you can deliver it, that makes a lot of sense. So
you also said at the beginning. You also said at the beginning, no job losses. So are you telling me then that this parcel business will sustain your current workforce?
No, we're saying as people will retire, that we'll become a leaner workforce. Right from from frontline workers right up to management. We have to adjust the size of our workforce in line with the adjustments we're making to our business, but also keeping in mind that we're still going to be a labor-intensive business. Amazon may want to put out YouTube videos about delivering with a drone. That makes no sense because, as you saw in the video, people dropped it off in the middle of the sidewalk. Can you and I get in trouble when anybody does that at Canada Post? So
there's a publicity
there is a future. We're still going to be a labor-intensive business. There's still a lot of good jobs and good work to be done. But we're going to look a lot different because Canadians are expecting different things from us.
So sounds like the same business, just presented differently.
Well, people are going to retire one way or the other, regardless of any changes that are implemented at Canada Post. Our issue is just with the changes, and I think there should be a public debate. We just spoke of e-commerce.
If you run a business and you need to make changes to make the business more efficient, what does public debate do to help that? Because
I think the public opinion factors into this because of the nature of this organization. It's a Crown Corporation. It was built by taxpayer dollars. Now, we just talked about e-commerce. That is the future of Canada Post. We were told yesterday Canada Post expects to receive $35 billion in profits from e-commerce within the next 5 years. That represents exponential growth. So with that in mind, is it necessary to cut door-to-door delivery? Is that going to more than offset any losses due to declining mail volumes? Because where one facet of the operation sags, the other one might go up, just like e-commerce has shown that it's been doing. We talked about Canada Post delivering the most parcels in history on Monday. That isn't going to change. It's going to continue to grow upwards. And so with those sorts of things in mind, I think we really need to talk about these cutbacks. The public has to be involved. Parliament has to be involved. Naturally, the unions opposed proposed any changes that affect the public universal service that we've been entitled to for years.
All right, but at least I have you both agreeing that e-commerce is the way we're going.
It represents significant growth prospects.
Get online and do your Christmas shopping.
John Hamilton, the spokesperson for Canada Post, thanks for joining us from Ottawa tonight.
Thank you, Jill.
And Ken Mooney, always good to have you here in studio with us. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
All righty.